The Alpha's Surprise Twin Heirs. Chapter 13. A soft gray hush clung to the gardens, the hour when dawn brushes its first pale light across dew-touched petals, yet birds still dream on their perches. Talia walked barefoot along the stone path, the hem of her robe whispering against lavender leaves. Aldric waited beside the small reflecting pool, arms folded, shoulders loose, though his thoughts were clearly busy. When she stepped into view, he smiled the way only he could manage after a night of little rest, a smile that promised strength wrapped in tenderness. She slipped her hand into his and leaned her head to his shoulder. For a long moment, they simply breathed together, the scent of wet earth and distant pine filling their lungs. "I keep replaying yesterday," Aldric murmured, voice kept low so as not to wake the sleeping manor behind them. The emissaries, the shield, the attack. Sometimes I fear it is moving too quickly for me to guard everyone. "You guarded them," Talia replied, tracing the faint scar that ran over his knuckles. "You guard me, even now." He huffed a quiet laugh. "I wake with the weight of two futures on my shoulders. Our sons, an entire kingdom yet unmade." Her finger slid under his chin, bringing his gaze to hers. "The prophecy didn't choose a careless man, Aldric, and it didn't choose a fragile Luna. We were named because we can carry that weight together." He brushed her cheek. "You shine brighter, each trial. I must confess, sometimes your calm humbles me." "Only sometimes?" she teased. "Only when you are awake," he teased back, then kissed her forehead, lingering until warmth spread from skin to heart. They sat at the pond's edge. Tiny ripples broke midnight reflections as dragonflies skimmed. Aldric lifted a stone and tossed it gently, watching rings fan outward. "You worry for Lyrian and Lucian," Talia said. "I worry for the world they'll inherit," he admitted. "One misstep and ambitious packs turn their childhood into conquest." Her hand covered his on the stone. "Then we'll make certain every step is steady. We build alliances, we train defenses, and we wrap those boys in enough love to outshine any weapon." He turned his palm, lacing their fingers. "You sound like you actually believe we can do it." She nudged his shoulder with hers. "I sound like your Luna." They shared a smile edged with silent promise, then rose, the day's duties calling. Violets bent beneath their steps as they crossed to the practice yard where early warriors already warmed up. Luca emerged from the barracks, rolling stiffness from his shoulders. "You two beat sunrise again. Planning or courting?" Aldric grinned. "The joy of leadership, Beta, we can do both." Talia winked. "Sometimes simultaneously." Luca snorted. "As long as you're not simultaneously drilling runes while kissing in corners, I'll allow it." "We'll note your approval," Aldric said dryly, then clapped Luca's back. "Show me the new ward grid." They strode toward the main gates. Overhead towers bristled with fresh ivy ink runes, their curves shimmering faintly. Warriors anchored iron spikes in strategic clusters, each spike etched with sigils to disrupt enemy enchantments. Luca produced a scroll, pointing where stones would soon be inlaid with silver dust. "Rotating guard posts every 4 hours, Luca explained, tapping his finger. "No pattern to exploit." "And quick response squads in the inner bailey?" Aldric asked. "Ready," Luca confirmed. "I gave Ryan and Solon command. They're eager to prove discipline." "Good," Aldric said. "Promote excellence before fear takes root." Meanwhile, Talia headed toward the communal green. Children chased each other around benches while a few younger warriors tended herb beds under Beth's guidance. Charlotte balanced on a low fence, demonstrating a playful sword move to a gaggle of adolescents. Talia called out, "Mind if I steal your audience, Charlotte?" Charlotte hopped down, flipping her wooden sword in salute. "Be my guest, Luna. These pups could use wisdom." The teens laughed nervously. Talia approached, offering a warm smile. "Last night frightened many, but remember, we are strongest when we know each other's hearts." She gestured for them to sit. "Tell me what you feared most." A lanky boy with russet hair stammered that the barrier wouldn't hold. A girl clasped her hands. That the prophecy means constant war. Talia nodded, acknowledging each confession. She spoke gently. Fear only grows in silence. Speak it, and we can answer. She explained how the barrier blossomed from love, not violence. How prophecy can be a guide, not a chain. As she spoke, Charlotte added humor. Beth offered calming tease, and gradually tension melted. A sudden giggle erupted behind them. They turned just in time to see Lyrian totter into view, bare feet patting the grass. He reached up, tiny fingers curled, vines uncoiled from a trellis, twisting like living ribbons to form a gentle swing. Lucian clapped, a quiet gust lifting leaves into swirling confetti. The teens gasped in delight. Beth pressed a hand over her mouth to hide laughter. Charlotte whistled low. Show-offs start early. Talia scooped Lucian before he summoned a gale. Easy, starling. Lyrian, still gripping the vine swing, squealed proudly. Talia felt Aldric's presence before she saw him. Strong arms reached around to steady their older son. Aldric chuckled. At least they aim for entertainment, not destruction. Luca approached, eyebrows raised. Is it normal for vines to obey toddlers? One day we'll wish their talents were so simple, Aldric answered, ruffling Lyrian's hair. Talia addressed the teens again. You see? Power can bring laughter too. Remember this moment when fear whispers otherwise. A harmony of shy smiles spread among them. Charlotte winked at Talia. You might replace me as drill instructor soon. Only if pay improves, Talia quipped. Laughter rippled. Beth collected the boys for nap before midday heat. As she departed, Lucian waved, a tiny breeze tugging Talia's sleeve in farewell. Aldric turned to his mate. Morning half spent, yet we've moved hearts and walls. She tilted her head, amused. I call that effective governance. He brushed an errant leaf from her hair. You call it fun. I call it falling further in love with you. Heat bloomed in her cheeks. Sweet words, Alpha. He leaned near, earned with sweat and sincerity. Their kiss was brief, stolen between duties, but sparks crackled bright. Luca cleared his throat with exaggerated patience. Aldric pulled back, unfazed. Duty calls, he said, though his eyes promised return. Talia accompanied Charlotte toward the training pavilion where new recruits sparred. On the way, she overheard two young wolves whispering. She's stronger than stories, one said. Luna stands lightning calm. She's still human-born, the other murmured. Prophecy or not, will outsiders follow her? Talia paused, considered addressing them, then chose a gentle approach. She joined their table at midday meal, asking names, serving bread, weaving conversation that dispelled doubt with lived kindness more than direct rebuttal. By meal's end, both youngsters had pledged volunteer hours toward ward carving. Charlotte grinned across the table, mouthing, well played. Afternoon found Talia in the archives catalog room, reviewing scrolls of treaty language. A shadow moved near shelves. She glimpsed a slim figure darting behind a case. Instinct flared. She pivoted, catching a glimpse of pale eyes. An apprentice scribe named Jory. Looking for something? She asked. Jory froze, clutching a parchment. I was only dusting. Talia stepped closer. Calm. Dusting that parchment under your vest? He fumbled. The scroll slipped, unrolling to reveal notes on guard rotations. Talia's heart sank, but her voice remained steady. Where did you get this? The boy's lips trembled. Someone asked me to copy it. They said Aldric's orders were too chaotic. They needed clarity. Who? He chewed his lip. She softened her tone. Jory, hiding truth endangers everyone you care about. Help us understand. His shoulders sagged. It was Hendrik. He said if we showed weakness, we could push Aldric to step back, avoid a war. He hates how prophecy turns pups into targets. Talia nodded slowly. Fear again. She placed a gentle hand on his arm. Come, we'll speak with Aldric. Jory's eyes widened in panic. He'll exile me. He will not. Tell the truth and find forgiveness. Reluctantly, Jory followed. They found Aldric and Luca reviewing patrol charts. Talia explained. Luca's jaw tightened, but Aldric's gaze remained controlled. Hendrik? He repeated. We'll question him. Jory, your cooperation may prevent tragedy. Thank you for choosing honesty. Jory burst into tears. Talia guided him to a seat. Aldric signaled a guard to fetch water. Later, in private council with elders, Hendrik's plot surfaced, an attempt to leak tactical patterns, hoping rival packs would see less reason to attack if defenses looked weaker. His misguided logic nearly handed enemies a map. Debate erupted. Some elders demanded harsh punishment. Others urged compassion. Talia spoke firmly. Fear drives folly. Let us teach, not destroy. Aldric placed measured weight behind her words, and consensus settled on confinement paired with mentorship instead of excommunication. Even Bran conceded. The meeting concluded. Aldric lingered as elders dispersed. He crossed to Talia, voice low. Anger burned in me, but your calm quenched it. Again. She rested her forehead to his chest. Your fury stays sharp for real foes. He kissed her hair. That threat still waits, but tonight I owe you something brighter. What, my alpha? A ritual under the moon, just us and those two stars we call suns. Her smile glowed. Then I accept. Evening rolled in on violet clouds. Beth and Charlotte prepared Talia in the dressing chamber. Beth smoothed a flowing silver gown, eyes misty. He'll treasure this sight. Charlotte circled, tying small white flowers through Talia's braid. Try not to blind him. We need his wits. Talia laughed, nerves fluttering pleasantly. If he's blinded, guide him. Outside, lanterns lit a secluded glade behind the manor. Aldric waited, trimmed in dark formal attire, silver embroidery catching moonlight. He extended his hand as Talia stepped between curtained spruces. Music of night insects swelled. You look like the moon's own heart, he whispered. And you look like dawn refusing to yield, she whispered back. They faced each other within a ring of silver sand. Twin candles burned at east and west points, and between them lay a silk cloth embroidered with the sigils of their house and the rising twin star symbol newly adopted. Aldric spoke first, voice deep. I vowed once to guard you with body and soul. Tonight I vow anew to guard the dream we build. Children safe, packs united, love unbroken. Talia's eyes shone. I vowed once to stand beside you whatever storms may howl. Tonight I vow again to be the calm that tempers blade and the flame that kindles hope, so our sons may inherit not fear, but wonder. They each placed a hand over the cloth. Lyrian and Lucian, seated behind Beth on a quilt, squealed softly as a faint silver aura bloomed around their parents' joined hands, drifting skyward like a constellation rising. Aldric's free hand cupped her cheek. Her fingers slipped against his chest. They sealed vows with a kiss that felt less passion's fire, more hearth's eternal warmth, a promise to sustain. When they parted, soft giggles sounded. The twins crawled forward, pressing tiny palms to the cloth. The aura intensified, flaring around the couple before settling into a gentle glow over the glade. Charlotte wiped a tear. They blessed your vows. Beth sniffed happily. Prophecy aside, that's family. A breath of wind rustled leaves. The seer emerged from shadows, face grave. Forgive intrusion. Aldric straightened. Speak. The seer's eyes reflected starlight. I dreamt of a march, torches in endless rows driven by fear of unity. At their front rides one once called friend. Talia's stomach tightened. Who? I cannot see the face, the seer said, voice hushed. But betrayal's scent rides the wind already. Aldric's grip on Talia's hand tightened. Then we prepare. The seer bowed and slipped away. Nightfall deepened, but determination blazed bright. Later in their chamber, as candles flickered low, Talia and Aldric lay beneath woven quilts, twins in cradles beside the bed. Soft lamplight haloed their faces. Talia whispered, "The seer's warning chills me, yet I feel no dread." Aldric touched her lips. "Because we face it arm in arm." They shared quiet words, hands exploring familiar paths, hearts steadying each other. When they finally drifted into sleep, dawn hovered hours away, but resolve already burned for the coming day. Morning sunlight spilled through tall windows as the first council bell rang. Wolves found seats at the long oaken table one by one, Elder Bran stiff in his chair, Elder Mira smoothing her robes, Davian arranging scrolls along the center runner. Low conversation rippled like subdued thunder. Talia entered with Aldric, Luca at their heels. Yesterday's ritual glow still lingered in her eyes, yet tension underpinned every step. She could feel the council's mood, curiosity sharpened by suspicion, steadfast loyalty tested by whispers. She took her place beside Aldric, palms steady on the polished wood. Aldric began without preamble. An apprentice was caught copying patrol rotations for Hendrik, who intended to leak them. This is resolved through confinement and guidance, but the root, fear, remains. Mira's brows knit. Fear thrives when secrets blossom. Many are unsettled by visions of armies and fated children. Elder Bran cleared his throat. "Your mateship and these boys have doubled threats to our doorstep." He gestured toward the door that led to the nursery beyond. Even some warriors ask, "Are we safeguarding prophecy or inviting war?" Talia kept her voice even. "We invite neither war nor doom. We invite a future where our children's bond may unite fractured territories. But that starts with steadfast hearts within these walls." A murmur of grudging assent traveled the benches. Davian raised a hand. "We may ease unrest by showing transparency. Let champions witness the twins' abilities under controlled guidance. Prove we manage their power, not hide it." Luca nodded slowly. "Open demonstration for trusted captains only, perhaps. It will affirm readiness." Bran humphed but did not disagree. Aldric surveyed the table. "Then we schedule a demonstration at first quarter moon, 2 nights hence. Until then, increased ward duties continue." He leaned forward. "Now, who fed Hendrik's dread? Yori claims, truthfully I believe, that whispers circled the barracks." Silence thickened. Finally, Elder Torin, thin and gray-eyed, cleared his throat. "I spoke with Hendrik last week. He was uneasy about children wielding shields that could suffocate an entire pack if mishandled. I reassured him training would temper impulsiveness." Torin's gaze faltered. "Perhaps I offered little comfort." Talia inclined her head. "Your honesty helps. We do not fault concern. We fault betrayal." She paused, measuring breaths. "I will spend the next days visiting each cohort. Questions deserve answers, not conspiracies." Bran folded arms. "Words will not soothe every soul. Some crave action." Aldric's gaze cooled. "Action comes when enemies cross our borders, not before. We refuse to strike allies out of paranoia. That is final." Bran held his stare, then dipped his head in grudging respect. Mira smiled faintly. "Leadership strong as cedar. Good." With main issues addressed, Aldric adjourned the council. Elders filed out, divided between relief and lingering worry. Talia exhaled, shoulders easing. Luca lingered. "I will arrange the demonstration roster. Volunteers already asked to join." Talia touched his forearm. "Thank you, Luca. Your steadiness anchors more than you know." A faint red tinted the beta's cheeks. "Just doing the job. Though," he added, glancing toward the doorway, "Charlotte's arrow-grazed heel gives her reason to scold me for leaving her side again." Talia smiled knowingly. Scolding can hide deeper care. He cleared his throat. "Perhaps," and strode off with unusual haste. Beth appeared carrying a tray of honey-soaked oat squares. I bribed Davian to deliver these earlier, but he insisted the council finish first. She set the tray on the table. Sweetness heals frayed nerves. Aldric plucked a square, nibbled thoughtfully. The taste of peace. Talia bit into one herself, warmth spreading through her chest. Beth's gaze softened. The twins nap in sunbeams like kittens. I carved new lullaby runes by their cradle. They hummed themselves to sleep. Thank you, Beth, Talia said, brushing crumbs from her lip. Your care fortifies them as much as any shield. Beth beamed and excused herself to the kitchens. Aldric gathered maps. I promised to patrol eastern trenches with the watch at midday. Walk with me. She nodded and they stepped into the breezeway. Outside, spring's green unfurled on every branch. Hammers rang from rampart projects. Apprentices etched rune stones near the gate. The estate pulsed with constructive energy, a living organism healing, preparing. Near the eastern wall, new palisades rose between stone buttresses. Warriors tightened bolts. Aldric provided pointers on overlapping fields of vision. Luca appeared at intervals, distributing water skins and checking notches in fresh saplings. Talia meanwhile visited the infirmary tent pitched beside the practice yards. Charlotte sat on a low stool, polishing arrowheads while a healer rewrapped her lightly bruised ankle. Charlotte waved a blade. Just in time to supervise, they want to bench me. She scowled at the healer. You need rest if you plan to outshoot Luca at demonstration, Talia teased. Charlotte's smile crooked. True. His ego requires puncture. Talia sat, accepting a spare whetstone and helping sharpen shafts. The rhythmic strokes mingled with distant clangs of metal. They spoke in murmurs about younger recruits, about how Jory wept after confessing. Charlotte's gaze softened. We were all pups once, easy to spook. Yes, Talia agreed. Fear is quicksilver. We collect it in steady hands, pour it into molds of courage. Charlotte raised a brow. Poet Luna. I steal Aldric's metaphors. Talia admitted, and they laughed softly. Beth arrived bearing herbal salve. She smeared it over Charlotte's bandages, then offered Talia a vial. Stress balm. Rub on temples before rest. Thank you, Talia whispered, pocketing the vial. Mid-afternoon haze shimmered above tilled earth when Aldric rejoined Talia near the archery range. Beads of sweat dotted his temples. She dabbed them with her sleeve. Play nurse too? He asked. Only to you. She kissed his cheek, earning a grin. They shared water beneath the shade of a maple while recruits trained. Between sips, Aldric spoke low. I questioned Hendrik again. He swears no outside handler pushed him, only his own fear. Fear alone seldom orchestrates theft, Talia mused. Someone seeded doubt. Her eyes narrowed thoughtfully. Who else speaks to younger wolves in corners? We watch quietly. Aldric nodded. I'll station unmarked sentries near barracks common rooms. His voice dropped. You asked to join those night rounds? I did. If whispers attack my family with shadows, I will meet them in the dark. A proud smile curved his mouth. My fierce Luna. He brushed her knuckles with his thumb. Heat flared through her wrist. Before evening, Talia visited the meadow where pups trained basic stances. She watched tiny bodies mimic adults, giggling as they tumbled. Lyrian and Lucian sat near the instructor, tiny heads tilted. A soft whistle later, a series of small daisies erupted to form a smiling face in the grass, drawing delighted squeals. The instructor glanced at Talia for permission. She nodded, encouraging the harmless play. Afterward, she carried Lucian and Aldric, lifted Lyrian, strolling toward the orchard. The twins hummed in unison, soft, harmonic notes that seemed almost words. Talia felt vibration in her bones, sweet and strange. Do you feel that? She asked. Aldric's brows knit, like two harps whispering. They paused beneath blooming apple branches. Lyrian extended a chubby hand. Petals spiraled, gathering into a perfect sphere that glowed briefly before drifting apart like snow. Lucian clapped, giddy. Aldric exhaled. Each day a miracle. And a reminder. She murmured. If beauty flows so easily, imagine what harm another might coax. He kissed Lyrian's hair. Then we ensure guidance shines stronger than malice. The twins napped again and evening shadows lengthened. Inside, the great hall buzzed as dinner prepared. Roasted venison, root stew, loaves drizzled with honey. Yet an undercurrent of tension remained. Talia could feel it ripple across serving lines. She followed the sound of hushed voices to a side corridor and found 2 junior guards debating. You saw it, one hissed. The emissaries brought star magic. How do we fight that? With our own magic, the second whispered, and Luna said, and if she's wrong? Talia stepped forward. Ask her yourself. They startled. Talia raised a calming hand. Fear is honest, but we don't let it drive alone. Share concerns openly. Secrets feed dragons. The first guard swallowed. I just worry star magic outstrips claws. Talia offered a gentle smile. Strength isn't only claws, it's unity. It's knowing panic passes when shared. She placed a steadying hand on his shoulder. Come, eat with us. Hear the strategy yourself. Then decide if claws feel larger. They nodded, relief in their eyes. Dinner proceeded densely packed yet orderly. Aldric addressed the hall. Status of fortifications, Luca's forthcoming demonstration, Beth's plan to bolster supplies. Talia spoke of trust as shield and knowledge as blade. Applause met her final words. Uncertainty dulled, though did not vanish. After tables cleared, torches burned low. Talia and Aldric lingered by the hearth, arms brushing. She glanced sideways, voice a private whisper amid departing footsteps. We steady the ship, but waves grow. He squeezed her hand. And the helm is shared. He pressed a soft kiss to her temple before releasing her hand. Rest now. Night rounds await me. Then I walk a portion at your side. He hesitated, but she lifted her chin. He chuckled low. Unstoppable. They retrieved cloaks and glided into moonlit corridors, their footsteps hushed. Guards saluted. The chill air carried wood smoke and distant owl cries. Near the storage wing, they paused. A faint scrape sounded. Aldric signaled silence. Together they moved, senses sharp. Around the corner, a young she-wolf named Kara rummaged in a cabinet half-tucked beneath stairs. Empty vials clinked. Kara? Talia called softly. Kara spun, dropping a jar. Glass shattered. The Luna, I was looking for salve. Training blister. Talia eyed the shards. In a vault? Either you scout poorly or someone guided you here. Kara's shoulders shook. I only wanted proof, she blurted. Proof the prophecy isn't doom. Hendrik said we'd be pawns. I needed to see if poison's stockpiled down here for enemies. Aldric's gaze darkened. Poison? She flinched. Rumor said you'd poison emissaries if they refused allegiance. Talia exhaled, stepping forward. Look around, Kara. Only medicinal herbs, lamp oil, spare linens. She lifted a salve jar, opened the lid for Kara to smell. Comfrey and sage for burns. Tears welled in Kara's eyes. I'm sorry. Aldric softened his stance. Fear again, he murmured, mostly to Talia. Talia touched Kara's arm. Next time, bring questions to elders, not shadows. Trust is built where lanterns burn. Kara nodded, cheeks streaked with tears, and hurried off after sweeping the glass into a pan. Aldric rubbed a hand across his jaw. Whispers undermine walls more than arrows. Talia leaned into him. But each whisper faced in candlelight loses fangs. She met his eyes. We keep answering until silence brings only peace. They continued rounds until after midnight. Eventually, they returned to the nursery. Beth dozed in a rocker, knitting needles slack. Charlotte perched by the window, red feather tucked behind her ear, bow across her lap, but eyes gentle. She smiled. All quiet. Talia thanked them both and saw them to their quarters. Aldric drew curtains, soft moon glow bathing cradles. He reached for Talia, pulling her close. "I never tire of your voice calming storms," he whispered. "And I never tire of your strength holding skies," she answered. Their kiss, deepened by shared toil, carried promise of tomorrow's battles fought side by side. When they parted, Aldric's thumb traced circles on her waist. "Sleep," he murmured. "We need dawn-clear minds." She agreed, but before extinguishing the lamp, she knelt by the cradle. Lyrian's lashes fluttered. Lucian's lips pursed around a dream. A faint, silver shimmer lingered over their clasped hands. Hope glowed there, delicate, unbroken. Talia rose, meeting Aldric's steady gaze. Together, they slipped beneath covers. His arm shielded her. Her heart shielded him. Outside, an owl hooted, but inside, the night settled calm, for now. Sunrise spilled molten gold over the ramparts, tinting every rune-etched stone with warmth. Talia woke to the sound of birds chattering near the balcony, and the faint gurgle of Lyrian practicing syllables in his cradle. Aldric's arm draped heavy about her waist. Overnight stubble brushed her nape. For several breaths, she savored the steady beat of his heart against her back, the sweetness of calm before the day's forging. Lucian squeaked. Talia turned, brushing Aldric's cheek. His eyes opened, unguarded, then sharpened with awareness. "Morning, my moonflower," he whispered. "Morning, my dawnstorm," she replied. They shared a drowsy kiss before rising to gather the twins. Lyrian offered a solemn Allah, while Lucian crowed a delighted laugh. Aldric lifted them both, declaring breakfast imminent. Downstairs in the east colonnade, Beth had laid out trays of fresh bread, berry compote, and smoked fish. Charlotte, still nursing a bruised ankle, already devoured a slice. Luca paced nearby, scanning the courtyard where recruits drilled. "Demonstration Eve," he muttered when Aldric approached. Roster set. Torin insisted on triple-checking the ward nodes. Bran supervised until dawn. Talia poured herbal tea for Beth. Exhaustion breeds mistakes. Rotate Torin off duty by midday. Luca saluted. "Yes, Luna." He accepted Lucian from Aldric with cautious hands. The pup tugged Luca's ear. Luca pretended pain, earning giggles. Mira and Davian joined, bearing a stack of parchment. Davian spoke between polite sips of tea. "Allied packs confirm attendance. Half-send small envoys tonight. Icefang, Willowmere, and Riverbend. Starfall remains at the ridge until our escort returns." Aldric's jaw flexed. "Good. Ceremony at sundown. We project control, not spectacle." Mira nodded. Torches, drum cadence, nothing more. As details flowed, Beth fed Lyrian spoonfuls of mashed berries. Purple blotches decorated his cheeks. Talia dabbed gently with a cloth, heart blooming at the everydayness amid weighty preparation. Hours later, the central grounds bustled. Talia walked with Charlotte to the viewing terrace overlooking the demonstration ring while carpenters erected simple benches. Charlotte leaned on her bow. "Nerves prickle," she confessed. Talia squeezed her forearm. "We show truth. Nerves will settle once curiosity replaces fear." Below, warriors painted broad chalk runes in concentric circles around a raised dais, one for Aldric, one for Talia, and a shared ring for the twins. Luca directed placements, Davian recited incantation patterns, apprentices scattered salt and silver dust. Bran grumbled about wasted resources. Torin countered that visible enchantment served reassurance. The elders' voices drifted upward, sharp but necessary, forging consensus. Near midday, the seer emerged from the library, his pale eyes unfocused as though tracing invisible lines in air. He approached Talia and Charlotte. "The astral tide shifts." His voice carried the chill of mountain winds. "At moonrise, the children's aura will crest." Talia felt gooseflesh. "Is that safe?" "If guided by hearts in harmony," the seer answered, gaze sharpening. "Discord amplifies danger." Charlotte crossed arms. "Then let's ensure hearts beat in time." A bell tolled from the gatehouse. Scouts rode in, Luca's patrol returned early. Dust cloaked their cloaks, but eyes shone relief. Lysandra of Starfall dismounted first, saluting Aldric with fist to chest. "Ridge holds. Ash talons scattered," she reported. "But whispers swirl in border taverns. A warband called Black-Embers recruits rogues, speaking of binding the Star Twins before eclipse." Aldric frowned. "Eclipse?" "3 moons hence," Davian supplied, flipping a celestial chart. "A total eclipse visible across all territories." Talia's stomach dipped. "Prophecy turning point?" The seer nodded gravely. "Darkness falling, the world holds breath. Portents sharpen then." Aldric dismissed patrols for rest but asked Lysandra to remain. In a shaded alcove, they discussed Black-Embers, a nomadic host known for brutal rites, no allegiance, but coin and superstition. Lysandra's voice shook. "They crave artifacts of power. Twins are living artifacts." Talia's hands curled against her skirt. "They will not touch them." Aldric's eyes burned amber. "Let them try." Tonight's demonstration becomes declaration. Afternoon waned. Beth prepared the twins, dressing them in soft tunics, stitched with subtle silver threads matching their parents' attire. Aldric in charcoal leathers with silver piping. Talia in flowing gray-blue, accented by a belt of moonstone beads. Beth pinned the carved wooden pendants at the boys' collars. They pulsed faintly with inner light. Charlotte whistled. "They look like princes already." "They are," Beth said proudly. As sunset bled orange across the sky, torches ignited along pathways. Wolves from allied packs arrived under escort, Icefang warriors cloaked in white fur, Willowmere diplomats bearing reed-woven insignias, Riverbend hunters with feathered spears. They gathered in semicircles around the demonstration ring, murmuring curious greetings. Talia sensed their caution but also intrigue. She held Aldric's hand as they stepped atop the dais, twins in arms. Silence rippled across the gathering. Aldric's voice resonated. "Welcome, allies. Tonight we display truth. The twins of prophecy are children, no weapons, no monsters, guided by love and unity. We invite you to witness, not to fear." He handed Lyrian to Talia, then eased Lucian to sit upon his own shoulder. Lyrian wriggled until Talia knelt, placing him at the center of the chalk ring. Lucian slid down Aldric's arm to stand beside his brother. The crowd collectively inhaled. Talia extended both her hands, Aldric mirrored. The twins each grasped a parent's finger. The seer stood at the ring's edge, murmuring a stabilizing chant. At first nothing happened, then Lyrian's eyes glimmered gold. Lucian's shimmered silver. Light pulsed where their small feet touched chalk. The runes ignited, tracing paths of luminescence around the circle before spiraling upward into a gentle dome overhead, translucent and humming like wind through pines. Gasps rang among onlookers. Talia felt pressure but no pain, as though bathed in warm rainfall. She heard a voice, soft, distant, as if crossing a great meadow. "I am safe." She realized it was Lucian, sending comfort not through words but feeling. Beside her, Aldric exhaled in awe. Lyrian's gaze lifted to the sky. The dome shivered, displaying faint star patterns even though sunset still glowed. Suddenly, Lyrian pointed beyond the ring toward the assembled packs and uttered a clear word. "Friends." Lucian followed, repeating, "Friends." Applause broke forth. Wolves who moments earlier held wary stance now clapped, tails twitching in delighted relief. The dome faded, leaving cool night air scented with pine resin and hope. Aldric scooped Lucian. Talia lifted Lyrian. She addressed the gathering. "These children shine because faith surrounds them. Let us meet eclipse not with swords drawn against each other, but shields interlocked." Icefang's alpha stepped forward, bowing. Icefang stands with Dawn Run. Willowmere's envoy raised her reed spear in salute. Riverbend's hunters thumped spear butts in unison. The energy of unity swept the field. Bran approached Talia, humility soft in his stern eyes. "I doubted. Tonight you guided doubt into wonder. Forgive my resistance." Talia clasped his forearm. "Caution kept the pack alive long before I arrived. We need both your wisdom and your courage." He inclined his head, acceptance bright in his gaze. Torchlight feasting followed, venison stew ladled into bowls, sweetberry wine poured. Music rose, flutes from Willowmere, drums from Icefang. Wolves danced beneath lanterns strung between trees. Charlotte and Luca argued playfully about step timing before Beth dragged them both into a spinning reel, laughter ringing. Talia sat on a carved log, Lyrian asleep against her chest. Aldric joined with drowsy Lucian. Together they watched warriors mingle without borders. "Tonight we tasted the future," Aldric murmured. "And it tasted like promising," Talia replied. His lips brushed her hair. "I love you beyond moons." She turned to meet his mouth in a soft kiss. "And I you, beyond stars." A hush swept the clearing as the seer appeared atop a low rise, face illuminated by lantern glow. Conversations fell to whispers. The seer's voice carried effortlessly. "I have spoken of armies born of fear. Know this, as alliances light these woods, shadows grow jealous. Black-Embers gather not far from our eastern ridge. They seek to chain that promise we witnessed." Murmurs grew anxious. Talia stood, heart pounding but voice clear. "Then we prepare. This unity forged tonight will be our first shield." A chorus of agreement rose. Icefang, Willowmere, Riverbend, Starfall emissaries, all pledging warriors to the Dawnrun cause. Aldric lifted Lucian so all could see. "Darkness approaches, it will find us together." Cheers shook leaves from branches. The twins stirred, sleepy eyes reflecting torchlight. Lyrian mumbled, "Safe." Lucian echoed, "Safe," before dozing again. Hours later, quiet settled over the estate. Talia and Aldric entered their chamber, the glow of celebration lingering. They laid the twins in their cradle, blankets tucked secure. Only candle halos lit the walls. Talia unfastened her moonstone belt, fingers trembling not from fear but from the day's magnitude. Aldric stepped behind, brushing stray strands from her shoulder. His voice was a low rumble. "You were brilliant." "We were," she corrected, turning. She traced the line of his jaw. He caught her wrist, kissing the pulse there. Candlelight danced as they undressed one another, slow from exhaustion yet animated by love. When he laid her on cool sheets, she whispered, "Hold me." He obliged, settling their bodies together. Their breaths mingled, soft confessions passing like prayer. Afterward they lay entwined. Outside a gentle wind rattled shutters. Somewhere an owl hooted approval. Talia rested her cheek on Aldric's chest. "The seer's warning," she began. Aldric stroked her arm. "We meet it as we did tonight, hand in hand. Allies grow. Fear shrinks." "I dreamed again of the girls," she murmured. They walked a path of starlight with Lyrian and Lucian, but shadows prowled at the edges. He pressed his lips to her hair. "We'll carve lanterns along that path." She smiled against his skin. "Poet again?" "For you," he whispered. "Always for you." Sleep pulled at heavy limbs, yet before surrendering, Talia lifted her head, eyes serious. "If Black-Embers arrive before eclipse, promise me something. Anything. No matter how fierce the battle, remember our first dawn in the garden. Remember why we fight." His hand cupped her cheek. "I carry that dawn inside me." She kissed his palm, finally letting exhaustion claim her. Their breathing synced, slow and deep. Over them, the candle burned low, its flame undisturbed, preparing, like them, to face the coming storm with steady light.